Good morning, everyone. As we are about to start the event, I request all the participants to switch off your mobile phones. And education is something which is ought to be brought within the reach of everyone. By this quote by Dr. Ambedkar, I would like to begin the event. I may call upon Desigran sir for invocation. Good morning, everyone. As we are about to start the event, I request all the participants to switch off your mobile phones. And
YouTube is good.
education is something which is ought to be brought.
Hello, Hari Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. I'm Megha from Chennai Academy for Civil Services. A very warm welcome to Gopal Swami sir, Tripathy sir, Mohan sir, Damodaran sir, to all the students, faculty, and our students. It's my pleasure to welcoming you all. Now, I may call upon Desika to introduce Mohan sir.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Mohan joined IAS through civil services examination in 1973. He was given the award for outstanding performance among all officer trainees at Labasna. He retired with the rank of Special Secretary to Government of India in 2009. He holds 6 postgraduate degrees besides PhD, MBA, Advanced Diploma in Finance, PG Diploma in Spanish, and degree in Law. Dr. S. Mohan is a great Indic scholar and highly proficient in both Tamil and Sanskrit literature. He has been conferred the prestigious Fellowship Award by Computer Society of India, the Award of Expert Scholar of Oriental Wisdom by Waves Association of Scholars at Houston, USA, and Saraswati Puraskar by Idihasa Bharati Research Center, Mysore. He is the academic committee member of Chinmaya Academy for Civil Sciences. Thank you.
Thank you, Desika. I request Mohan sir to give the opening remarks.
This is an important occasion. There is the special electoral review, S.I.R. What is so special about it? It has got several advantages. The electoral role comes into being by a Constitution section 324. And it's a representation of People's Act in 1950. So all these things have been carried out for several years under these provisions. Now the S.I.R. has been, the S.I.R. is under revision. Why this revision is necessary? How does it help? Has it got any disadvantage? All these things are subject of discussion, which real experts today will do that. The advantage of S.I.R. is it cleanses the electoral rolls, then increases inclusiveness, then transparency, then prepares the rolls before elections perfectly, then improves clean rolls and greater public faith in the government activities. Then technology plus field work. Aadhaar link, now it is made voluntary by the court. Then duplication, deletion, through software, then location verification tools have been through, you can even know the artificial intelligence now. Then the political correctness, and there are also political controversies, which it is inherent in every change and development. Domain agri nivavrtaha, as Krishna says, without smoke there won't be any fire. So this also will contain certain things like risk of mass deletion, political controversies, then administrative burdens, lack of awareness among people. They don't know how to fill up a form, how to give a number, how to put the photographs, everything. Then privacy concerns. Aadhaar linkage, which is originally suggested as a permanent compulsory thing, after Supreme Court judgment, it is removed as it is put as voluntary because it invades into privacy of the people. Then when urban areas hard to cover, the huge area, urban areas, with several lakhs and crores of people, which is difficult to cover. These are some of the problems. But then, if every problem has got a solution, this is the solution will be found, and it is being found. Today, anyway, the experts will cover. We will come to the end to give some suggestions or ideas on the topic. Now we have got two great experts. One is one of the Pitamaha of the Indian Administrative Service, Gopal Swami ji. He is a remarkable administrative career, MSc gold medalist, joined IAS in 1966 in Gujarat cadre. After his contribution in governance as advisor in Planning Commission and Secretary General of National Human Rights Commission, he had a successful tenure of 5 years in the challenging post of Home Secretary, Government of India. After becoming the Election Commissioner in 2004, he ascended the role of a Chief Election Commissioner in India and occupied it till 2009. Deeply interested in culture, arts, religion, and he is the chairman of the Kalakshetra Madras. He was honored with the Padma Bhushan Award by the Government of India. One thing which is not mentioned here, some years ago they prepared a great analytical report on the Sanskrit introduction, development in Indian curriculum. He is the person who chaired that and prepared a very valuable suggestion. This is very short things about him. We can learn a lot of things, but the time is inadequate. Our next panelist is this week, K.S. Tripathy. Tripathy has a brilliant academic career with a postgraduate in Science and Business Administration. He joined IAS in 1975 in Tamil Nadu cadre. He is the former Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu. Had several vital and critical posts both in Tamil Nadu government and central government. At the center, he played a sterling role as the author of National Housing Policy and National Urban Transport Policy. Besides making a contribution in many important areas in Tamil Nadu government, again, he held a high-profile post like chairman of the TAMIN, Vigilance Commissioner, Chief Information Commissioner, getting his illustrious career as Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu. He was the monumental buildings and centers like Anna Centenary Library, Chennai, they bear testimony to his capacity. One more thing which is not mentioned here, I will mention. He is widely told. As far as I know, he is the only person, like the government servant who has visited Antarctica. Whether we remember or not, the aquatic animals there will remember him. So there are other points which are to be discussed. I will come back to you later when we hear the experts.
Thank you, sir, for the brief introduction of our chief guest. Now, I will call upon Shri Gopal Swami, sir, to talk on the insights of S.I.R.
Are you able to hear me? Is it? Okay, fine. So, Mr. Ram Mohan, Tripathy, Statistical and friends, eager participants for the administrative services exams. I'm delighted to be with you to talk about the special intensive revision. I presume that you would have understood the legal aspect of it, or should I mention something about the legal aspect? Okay, very simply, number one, the Election Commission is given the responsibility to prepare the electoral rolls. The revision of electoral rolls is part of the preparation of the electoral rolls. Third, revisions can be two types. One, intensive revision. One is the normal revision year to year which happen. One is the special revision. Now, one is called intensive revision, the other is called special revision. Now, what is this new animal called special intensive revision? Is an issue which has been raised in the Supreme Court. Okay, special, you can say the special came because instead of taking one constituency, one state, they are taking all the states. Maybe special. Anyway, the point to be appreciated is legal jugglery apart. Whether it is required, it's required. Why required? The statistics will itself show you why it is required. Normally, before every election, whether a state election or central election, the electoral rolls are revised. Now, the electoral rolls are revised at least starting 6 months prior to the polling. And a house-to-house verification is expected to be carried out. Okay. I am saying very clearly, expected to be carried out. Why do I say that? Because the kind of statistics which are coming now will tell you that the expectation has not been fulfilled. Today, you see a huge deletions. Tamil Nadu, almost 1 crore. Gujarat, 73 lakhs. Okay. There is always, in the Hindu, there is always a comparison between Gujarat and Tamil Nadu on this issue, precisely because both are highly urbanized. Both are, industrial advancement on that ground also. Both are almost equal. Therefore, some of the problems could be common. That's the understanding. Because of that, this comparison is being made. So the percentage of reduction or deletion, Tamil Nadu as a whole is 15%. Gujarat as a whole is about 12.5%. Not much different. 97 lakhs here, 73 lakhs there. Their base is slightly lower. Is it something new that the huge number? No. Why do I say that? I say that because of previous experience. Okay. Now, you won't, might not have read about it at all because it's almost 20 years ago. Okay. So let me recall for you, about 16, 18 years ago, recall for you why and where we met this kind of a situation. See, prior to the 2004 election, parliament election, the commission had given a work to NGO called NGO in Karnataka to study the electoral roll and give some suggestions. Because the intensive revision in Tamil Nadu prior to the 2004, this thing, it was taken up in 2002, it wasn't carried out very well, or it didn't establish a correct situation, because there were a lot of complaints, and therefore the chief electoral officer of Kerala was asked to study this and make his suggestions. He said in many of the urban areas, it has not been updated properly. Therefore, in Tamil Nadu, after 2002, in 2004, for the urban areas, there was a revision undertaken in 2004. I don't have the statistics of the deletions, etc., at that time, but the Janagraha, which did work in Bangalore, they said, if you do not, I mean, there is a lot of inter-city migration, intra-city migration. Within the city and from outside the city, people seeking jobs within the city, people within the city, they're changing jobs from one area to the other, therefore living areas change. They said if you don't update it every year, you be rest assured that the electoral roll will be out of sync by between 3 and 5%. That many changes will take place. Because of that, there will be a lot of changes which will happen. Now, this thing was in our mind. Therefore, we have been working on something, I mean, keeping this in mind. So in 2007, before 2007 February Punjab elections, in 2006, 6 months earlier, we started an exercise. Now, that is linked at that time also to the fact that we wanted to give photo ID to every voter, and in the process, we were able to also find out whether the person is there or not there, etc. So it was combining both. And that experience told us, saying that a lot of work has to be done every time a state goes to poll. So that experience gained in Punjab, where a lot of people could not be given the ID because they're not there, or those who had the ID were in different place. Mind you, the electoral identity card was to identify you by a photograph. There will be an AC, Assembly Constituency name written, but that is besides the point. Supposing you had an ID issued in Chennai and you shifted to Viluppuram. In Viluppuram, you show this ID, accept them, because it only identifies you, not the provided in Viluppuram, in that constituency, you have the name. See, many people used to say that I have the card, but my name is, I'm not allowed to vote. And the election officials say that your name is not there, so how do I allow you to vote? No, but then I have a card. Yes, the card is only to identify you, not overstepping the requirement that your name has to be in the electoral roll. So what we did was in 2000, prior to the 2007 May elections in UP, we did an intensive check. And the result was that 52 lakh names were deleted. 52 lakhs. I compare it with Tamil Nadu, 1 crore 20 years later. Okay. And then, of course, some additions were there, people whose names were, they had shifted. We prepared at that time a list that still goes on, called ADS list. Absent, D is for dead, S for shifted. Now, it's very common in the poorer areas of Bihar and UP for people to migrate during season to work in Haryana, Punjab, etc. or elsewhere. There are more permanent migrations also. For instance, more than half the mill workers in Bombay would be from UP or Bihar. a very substantial percentage of the drivers or taxi drivers would be from UP. Okay. But they would have the name there, they would have the name here, they don't care whether it's there or not there, they don't care. But if they are there, maybe a political worker comes and says your name is there, go and vote. But definitely they keep it there for the simple reason that one is, you can say, emotional connect. But 15, 20 years he lives in Bombay, but if he doesn't develop an emotional connect to Bombay, something wrong with him. Leave aside that. But the very practical problems which came up. For instance, a family, parents have 4 children. 2 of them are in Bombay. How many years? 15, 20 years. But the names are here because they don't want the name to be removed because they are worried that in the family property, their share will get lost if, there will be nobody to say that you belong to this place. Therefore, they will persuade the local officers saying that mera naam nikalna mat. Please keep it. Please don't remove my name. So there is so much. So what we did was, at the time was too short for us to go into a complete inquiry and delete, etc., etc. So we prepared a list called absent, dead, and shifted. Now, absent will be where the family member is there, but the head of the family is missing or he is outside. Shifted means both have gone, but there is some family, that is, the parents may be there, the children are not there. Now, the effort and deleting the names would have taken a long time. Therefore, what we, because you have to give a notice, then here, listen. So what we had decided was that, well, for the purpose of the election, he prepared a separate list, each polling station wise, gave it to the presiding officer, and told him, saying that if anybody out of this ADS list comes, then that list, any one of the lists which is coming, then you have to doubly ensure that the person is not a fake fellow. This is something which we had instructed. That procedure went on. Now, coming to year later, or 6-8 months later, 2008 May, year later, the Karnataka elections, 52 lakh names revoked. And about 21 added later on because people have shifted. Deletions took place from hinterland, rural areas, etc. Much additions took place in the city areas. So, what the commission, with this kind of information, what the commission should have done is, before every election in every state or before the parliament election, there should have been an intensive revision every 5 years. Actually, it will practically work out every 2.5 years because between that 5 years, there's assembly elections, 5 years parliament election, 2024, 19 and 24. In between, there will be state elections. So if it had been intensively done during this period, then the number of entries deleted, etc., all of a sudden would have been much less. I will take one additional statistical information to you. Tamil Nadu reported out of 97 lakhs, 26.9 lakhs deletions. Now, go back to see what is the death rate in Tamil Nadu. Decadal death rate, 2011 to 2020. What is the death rate? It is 0.65 per 1,000. That translates to about 3.5 lakhs, 3 to 3.5 lakhs total number. What is the number of dead? 26.9. Assume all the 3.25 lakh were voters, not necessary. There could be somebody below the age of 18 also. But for a moment, assume that all of them were voters. It means for 8 years, you have not corrected the electoral roll of the dead. You have not removed the dead from the electoral roll at least for 8 years. So that is one statistical thing for you to say that why it is necessary to for whatever your backlog which is accumulated, you had to at some point of time get it sorted out, and that is what is happening now. Even after saying that, I have a little bit of this number in Tamil Nadu, a bit upsetting to me in a sense. What the CEO's office said was 40 lakhs was the number of electors in the last assembly election. And the number deleted is 14 point something. So what is left out is about 25. 35.6% deletions. Now, which means, unlike for entire Tamil Nadu, the percentage of deletion thing is 15%. Chennai alone, or the 3 constituencies in Chennai, including a couple of constituencies, assembly constituencies around nearby, account for 35%. So there is also a statistics that the number of people who voted in the last election in Chennai was 22 lakhs. I'm rounding off some figure, 22.4 or something. It may not be exactly the 3 constituencies in Chennai. Chennai includes, apart from the 3 metropolitan constituencies, parliamentary constituencies, a couple of other ACs nearby, Tripathy and Kanchipuram. So, broadly speaking, 25, if the number of voters had come down from 40 lakhs to 25 lakhs and 22 lakhs people voted, which means 88% of polling. A little doesn't, gel. I mean, one feels a little jittery about saying that 88% of people voted, because everybody generally assumes that people in city will talk about democracy but never vote. Okay. So, whether an intensive revision is necessary? Necessary. Is it being rushed? To an extent, yes. Especially only in West Bengal. Now, one speciality of this revision, I can say, is for the first time they're asking whether you are a citizen or not a citizen. Okay. Can the Election Commission ask for it? Yes. But can the Commission decide? No. As far as the Commission is concerned, it is a very kind of funny kind of situation. They have to enroll only a citizen, but they cannot decide whether you are a citizen or not a citizen. So if they suspect that you are not a citizen, they may say, all right, now we'll keep you separately. You go and prove yourself that you are a citizen. This is what some of the people, Prasad Bhushan, etc., saying that Commission is deciding. Commission said, we are not deciding, but we have the responsibility. I will give a little bit of background to this issue from a different point altogether. Unlike many other countries, we don't have a citizen's ID card. Okay. Even though the law was passed in 2003, the rules and regulations were ready a year, 2 years later. A pilot project was also done in 2008. I don't remember how many constituencies, but a pilot project was done. And the contents, I mean, you are supposed to get a citizen's identity card, which had all the elements which are there in the Aadhaar now, IAS, fingerprints, etc. Why was it? It was okay. Instead of citizen's identity card, it became Aadhaar. Difference being, Aadhaar was given to everybody. I can only guess why it has happened. Being, I mean, if one is very critical, one can say that those in power did not want to annoy a big part of the people living who are not citizens, are still living within this country. They will be excluded, and I'll give you the statistics for that. In the year 2004, in the Parliament, to a question, the minister replied that according to their estimates, nearly 1.5 crore foreigners residing. In 2016, in the parliament, for a similar question, the reply was 200 million or, no, sorry, yeah, 2 crores, a little over 2 crores. Both must be an understatement, because nobody comes and declares that I am a foreigner. Anybody who knew or lived in Delhi in the 90s, many of the household work was being done by Bangladeshis. Many household maids, etc. They used to be from Bangladesh. Things have worsened and not improved. Today, you can find Bangladeshis even in Kerala in the rubber plantations. They're spread all over the place. So either the vote bank politics prevented them from insisting upon the national citizen's identity card being made. Okay. Because then what would have happened is that every time there is a non-citizen, you will have to, you are allowed to challenge and then decide in a tribunal, etc., etc. So cards would not have been distributed. The card distribution would have been slower, much slower. Unlike in the case where Aadhaar, it said to any person it can be given, then it was given to everybody. Then Supreme Court also played a bit of a, to my mind, a very unfortunate role. They identified only 2 issues for being for Aadhaar being mandatory. One is the PAN, the other is anybody who is a beneficiary of any social sector facility, payouts, etc., etc. On both, you can insist upon Aadhaar. Now, on one side, we talk about being a voter, the very essence of being a citizen. And essence of democracy is there. But that issue or that identity which certifies, cements your place as a citizen in the country was not allowed to be, Aadhaar was not made compulsory for that. The net result is that whether a genuine citizen gets an Aadhaar or no, definitely the non-citizens all have the Aadhaars. The first thing they do is to get a Aadhaar card, ration card, whatever the cards. Okay. All of that is available. So the commission is saddled with a very difficult issue. Whatever is happening in West Bengal now will tell you that that is a state in which there is maximum problem of this kind. Being porous borders, people keep going across, and Muhammad Yunus, who is now the president, he made a very famous statement almost 20 years ago, saying that Bangladesh is a small country, we have a big population, we will overflow into India. Kind of saying that it's an extended Bangladesh, we will come to your country. Whether you can do something about it or not, it is your concern. We are not bothered. We will. Today, he is talking about the Northeast, saying the Northeast is part of our this thing, so that any spillover from Bangladesh can go to Northeast also. They are already there. Most of the you may not be aware, a special type of lemon is produced in states like Mizoram and parts of Tripura. Huge size, supposed to be very good to be used for mutton cooking. Most of the farms which grow this are having Bangladeshis as their employees, and most of that produce goes to Bangladesh. Anyway, so one is that it is necessary, but it's also something which the commission saddled with. Part of the reason being that they have not carried out this for some time. I said 8 years, maybe in some other places, some more time also. to my mind, there is time. What is now happening is that the BLO is supposed to visit house to house. And I can tell you some stories of BLOs in some of them, I mean, in cities, especially in Chennai. Many times they are ill-treated. Some of the BLOs have said that when we go to a house and give, they said, why have you come now? After you give the form, you tell them saying that when should I come to collect? We don't know. We cannot tell you. That kind of a tremendous cooperation is coming from the educated citizens in Chennai. Okay. So their work is also affected. But year to year, the revision which normally takes place year to year, and every year they advertise saying that a new electoral roll. What is really happening is that additions are taking place, not deletions. So they are willing to take the forms and then enrollment takes place. Deletions don't take place at all. I mean, that takes one small example. In the flat in the building I'm living in, there are 7 flats. We are about 16, 17 people. 2 people have died 5 years ago. Names are still there in the electoral roll until this S.I.R. And the forms are given in that house. Out of the 4 forms, 2 were returned, saying they're dead. Along with that, I also tell you theoretical. Can an electoral be 100% correct any given point of time? No. I'll just take one example. During S.I.R., after the S.I.R. initially started, 1 person died in our building. The name will still be there because until this message goes there and then get deleted, the name will be there. I mean, like that, it will happen. So, at no point of time can it be 100% correct, but it should be as correct as is possible. So, this exercise, in my view, should be done before every election in a state in this intensive fashion, not merely adding. This is one. Secondly, now that the Aadhaar is being allowed to be used, even if it is voluntarily, it gives an excellent opportunity to be able to at least locate people who are shifting from one place to another. There is also a story behind that, I must say. Prior to about 2002-2004 period, if you shifted place and went to a new place and made an application for enrollment there in that new constituency, you will be asked saying that where were you before? On the assumption, anybody above the age of 22, 25 would have already been enrolled, and therefore his name or her name would be there at some place. So he or she used to be asked saying that where were you before? If you can indicate the place, constituency. But in practice, what was found was many people will not fill that. So the choice with the Election Commission was to enroll or deny. So they said, enrollment is better, why deny? On the ground that you are not sure. This also built up the backlog of non-deleted names. And as I said, Janagraha has said every year, if you don't do this, at least 3 to 4% change will be there. So many of these changes were never incorporated. That's one of the reasons for a huge deletion. You also would have seen some news about one place having 200 people, 500 people, and all that stuff. There's one in Tambaram, which is very interesting. In Tambaram, it was a missionary training center. So people come and stay in the training center for a year, 2 years, and then go away. New set comes. So they were careful to get them enrolled, but they were careful to get those who went out to be deleted. So much so, when the S.I.R started, they found 500 forms given to one thing, even though there were only hardly 200 people there. Other people had come and gone away. This exactly explains what kind of a thing which happened in Mahadevpura, where the leader of opposition pointed out saying that 100 names are there in one. Now, if you find many of the Biharis who come here and stay, they stay for about 6-8 months, go home, come back, and then after a month, they'll come back and take up a new job with the same contractor or somebody else. They do a morning, one set of people will be doing a morning shift, the other set of people doing the evening shift. So they don't, if there are two people, they don't rent two accommodations, no. They'll have only one accommodation, which two people use. The one will be using it during the day, the other will be during the night. But that unfortunately is the situation. And in one and the same premise, there may be 10 fellows. A room of the size, there may be 10-15 fellows into two. Okay. So this is something which is already known to the Election Commission. I can tell you in West Bengal, I'm talking about 2004, this situation used to be very, very bad. I mean, lots of slums used to be there, lots of small accommodation. So many people will live in a place very cramped. Many of them have come as refugees from Bangladesh, etc. So there's nothing unusual. Only thing is, it was not properly captured in the electoral roll. These are some of the issues which made S.I.R inevitable, got to be done. What other point? You are aware that the S.I.R was done, or something similar to S.I.R was done almost 8 times or 10 times. I mean, sometimes 2002 to 2004 is considered as 3 attempts, 3 S.I.Rs. If you consider that particular point of time, that period 2002 to 2004 as 1, then 8 revisions are taken place earlier. And this is the, but this one is different to the extent that the citizenship issue is also being raised. Courts have been helpful, apart from passing very, if I say serious looking, I may be in for a contempt of court. So serious remarks, but they have been supportive of the Election Commission in this exercise. And hopefully, one additional point. Election Commission, to my mind, I mean, deviated from its main duty and went into a different, from around 2016. They spend more energy into telling people and trying to persuade people to go and vote, which actually should have been spent more on the creation of a clean electoral roll. What is, to my mind, the Commission's duty is only 1, prepare a clean electoral roll. What is clean? Anybody who is entitled to vote should be there. Anybody who is not entitled to vote should not be there. 2, prepare the ground for the person who is on the electoral roll to go and vote without fear of it. So his access should not be denied to him, either by threats or by inconvenience. These are the 2 main jobs, 2 issues which to persuade them to, you can make an appeal to them to go and vote. But you should not spend your energy and money in trying to get them to the polling station. And I will not name the state, but there was one state in which I found during this particular frenzy of trying to make people to go and vote. A polling station was prepared as a model polling station, and the expenditure was 60,000 rupees. I knew the CEO, so I called him up and said, you have nearly 60,000 polling stations. I leave you to calculate at the rate of 60,000 rupees per polling station for 60,000 polling stations, how much money is required. Do you have that money? What is the point in preparing a plush polling station People are not wanting that. People are wanting that I must get proper access to the place. And if it is midsummer, I should have a chance to get a glass of water. That's all that is required. I must be attended quickly so that I don't have to stand in the sun for a long time. And give me a shade or something so that I can. They have prepared ramps at all the places. I don't know if you noticed. But have you tried to climb the ramps? I have tried and I failed. I would much rather, because quite steep. There is no enough space. So they had no other go except to prepare a ramp, which is, if not 90 degrees, at least 70 degrees. Too difficult for any old man to climb. Okay. So, I mean, unfortunately, bureaucracy does. The report would have gone. Ramps prepared, yes, all 60,000 polling stations in Tamil Nadu, ramps prepared. How much will be used? So the issue is that commission, instead of doing this work, concentrated on the other one. So much so, this work got delayed, got a secondary importance. The net result is today, state after state, you find the situation rather, I mean, alarming in the sense that huge deletions. Supreme Court is also to blame to an extent. I mean, we cannot say it openly outside. They should have seen that Aadhaar would have benefited very much. They had to tell the EC this time, saying that use Aadhaar, we accept that it is not for citizenship, but as an identity, please use. I think Commission played a bit of a game there, to be honest with you. They didn't include Aadhaar because you had said that Aadhaar cannot be used. Many of you may not know, in 2016, Supreme Court issued a contempt of court notice to the Election Commission, the Chief Election Commissioner, because in one polling, office, when somebody went to register, the registration officer said, please give your Aadhaar. This fellow said, he was an advocate, dangerous fellows. Okay. He said, I don't need to give. So he said, how? Why? Supreme Court has said it is not necessary. He said, my officer said, please take Aadhaar. Acha, theek hai. So he went straight to the Supreme Court, filed a contempt of court petition, and promptly the Supreme Court issued a contempt of court notice to the. After that, Election Commission was so scared about that until the amendment took place in 2021, that Aadhaar can be taken only as a voluntary thing. They never touched Aadhaar at all. And they played a bit of a game. They didn't include Aadhaar in the list of documents. And Supreme Court had to say, yes, Baba, we agree that it is not for citizenship, but please do include. After that, they included it. Finally, I will close with one thing. How misunderstandings can be created, sometimes without understanding, sometimes deliberate. In the forms given during the S.I.R. in Tamil Nadu, on the reverse, the documents are listed out, 13 documents. The 13th document is a reference to the S.I.R. in Bihar. Immediately, a rumor was started saying that all the Biharis are getting enrolled here. The truth of the matter is, Biharis are here. I mean, they will be in the electoral roll also. It is to help them. Why? You had to give a reference of 2002 in the in your form. Wherever S.I.R. was done only in 2002, references 2002-2004 period when the S.I.R. last S.I.R. was done, or last intensive revision. If you are a Bihari and you are settled here, you don't have to look for your 2002 electoral roll of Bihar. You can look to the 2025 electoral roll of Bihar. So that's the reason why that was included. But they didn't possibly expect the very fertile minds of politicians, which created a big scare, saying that all the Biharis are getting enrolled here. I just thought I'll clarify it because that particular clip has been doing around for quite some time. And about a week ago, I called up the office of the CEO and said, please issue a statement removing that doubt, otherwise it's creating a scare. Any other issue which you think is relevant, which I have not covered, which you can ask? Before that, one not relevant to this, but still I will mention. We are all fond of talking about, at least including me, of electoral reforms, right? For some time now, I have stopped talking about electoral reforms. The reason is, if you go back into the entire electoral reforms carried out, you will find the Supreme Court did more electoral reforms than the governments in office, than the parliament. I'll end that. Okay. Yeah, thank you, and your questions are welcome.
Brief knowledge about what is S.I.R, how previously the S.I.R was taking place and why is it necessary, the key role of the Election Commission behind the necessity to conduct the S.I.R, the relevance of Aadhaar card and what importance it takes place while conducting the election process, and the last derogatory remark on what the electoral reforms were. Thank you so much, sir, for your information and knowledge about S.I.R. Now, I may request Tripathy sir to address again.
Want to shift with that?
Good morning to everybody. Mr. Gopal Swami, Mr. Mohan, and the future administrators of India. Now, Mr. Gopal Swami very, very clearly elucidated what the Election Commission of India has been doing and why it is necessary and how it is being done also. Well, now let me talk from my own personal experience, because I have been a presiding officer starting from that right up to looking at the overall situation in the whole state. Not only that, I was also a part of the special intensive revision in, believe me, 3 states, way back, quite some time back. Assam, Tripura, and also to a very small extent in West Bengal. Okay. Now, Assam, this was done during my joint secretaryship in Delhi, so I was asked to go Tripura, because at that time, even at that time, the infiltration by Bangladeshis was tremendous. Now, I was a special observer, which means I would have covered at least about 10 to 15 assembly constituencies in Assam, all the assembly constituencies in Tripura, and I think 4 or 5 in West Bengal. 4 or 5 in West Bengal, put it that way. Let me go to Assam first. I was sent to North Lakhimpur, the Ulfa territory. I don't know whether you people have come across this Ulfa. Okay. So these people, I was sent there. So those days, most dangerous, all security, this, that, everything. Anyway, we went and went to another place called Dhimaji, then to Dibrugarh, then coming back to Novoboisa, all those places. Now, special intensive revision of the electoral rolls. Now, how do you include, Mr. Gopal Swami was explaining, how do you include? You must have some proof. Okay. What is the proof? Those days, Aadhaar card was not there. There was no PAN card, nothing of the sort. But the documents, like property documents or something else, birth and death register, even those things, they were not being maintained in these states. Okay. Tamil Nadu was far, far, far better in those aspects. Okay. Now, what is called a Kabil Nama, whether my pronunciation is right or wrong, I don't know. Kabil Nama is the word I've heard several times in Assam. The Kabil Nama is a marriage certificate, registration certificate. If that is given by a magistrate, that is taken as a proof of your not only citizenship, but also identity, and not only identity proof, but also citizenship. I said, how can that be? Anybody can go walk into the magistrate's room, I am so and so, I am so and so, adults, therefore they get married, certificate is given. Not necessary that every proof should be given. Okay, so something is scratching my head. How do you, some of us, not just me, how do we go about it? Let's get to the lists of all these Kabil Namas given. Believe me, in a particular constituency in North Lakhimpur, 500 Kabil Namas given, you cannot guess, in one day. Do you think it is humanly possible for you to sign this Kabil Namas? Head, alarm bell, all 500 were to be asked. Signatures won't tally. So you can sign, I can sign, somebody else can sign, Kabil Nama given. This happened in Assam. Go to another constituency. So I was roving observer, hence I could not see all the electoral rolls. Go to another now Boisa. Something exactly similar. But only constituency where the Bangladeshi infiltration was much less was this place, Dispur, the headquarters. I was surprised because Dispur is the headquarters, but that much wasn't there. So another batchmates who went to Dhimaji and Dibrugarh and vagara vagara, they said, "Hey, kya ho raha hai yaar?" This is the comment. Anyway, said these cannot be accepted. So that will, the magistrates' findings have been questioned by a bureaucrat. It is also an executive. So that becomes a big question mark anyway, that we never bothered, said nothing doing. So first time, second time, we went 5 times. Okay, I leave Assam for a moment, then go to Tripura. It was worse. It was worse. Okay, it's a hilly area. Of course, those days, I won't name political parties or whatever. It was still worse. Okay, the Tripura Bengali and the Bangladesh Bengali are not necessarily similar, but they can pass off as. So finding them out, whether they are Bangladeshis or Tripura people or Indians, was very difficult, because the most of Tripura people at that time were non-Muslims. So that is the only identification by which one could make out that yes, there is something wrong with the kind of things which they have. So listed out this and that, there are some pressures from the then union minister from that area. No, sir, okay, we will take care, leave it at that. Fortunately, at that time, the then election commissioner was, the others called him Alsatian. Okay, so he was there as the election commissioner. One day I rang him up and said, "Sir, this is what is happening." Ask that fellow, quote unquote, ask that fellow to go and sit in Delhi. Next time he comes, I will disqualify him. This was the word he used, but he could not have disqualified, but still. Anyway, Tripura also done. How many were deleted, I do not know, because I was not supposed to be overseeing how many were deleted, how many were included, this and that. Now, come to West Bengal. I will go back to the other 2 states also. Now, West Bengal, I think it was Purulia. What is that? Known for leprosy, Bankura. Purulia, Bankura, and one more, these 3. Bankura was supposed to be one of the most backward of the districts within Bengal. Anybody from Bengal? Nobody, I suppose. Anyway. There also, okay. See, West Bengal and Bangladesh, you cannot even distinguish because there is no border. I have seen people just walking across. That happened in Agartala, for example, Tripura. People just walking in and walking out. So very jovially, people are telling them, I had the BSF escort also. So the BSF escort told me, "Sir, the moment they see us, if they sit, it means they are Bangladeshis. If they stand there, non-Bangladeshis. Okay, suppose the Bangladeshi stands, and what will you do? Then we'll go, they will be wearing lungis. So these are all the kind of descriptions which these people are giving. So this, jokes apart, for them also identifying a Bangladeshi and a non-Bangladeshi became difficult. Okay, in Bankura and Purulia, you go to an area. Are you aware of this so-called arms drop case? You won't even be born that back. Forget about it. Anyway, that is the area which is totally deserted. So after the Anand Marg is this, that, so many things were banned, arms were dropped. The cases went on for about 20, 30. I don't know whether it is over or not. I don't know whether I'm not bothered. That area was totally deserted. It was like a mini township. Okay. And just not a single person would have lived there for about 10 years when I visited. And how many voters were there? Believe me, more than 1,000 in that Purulia arms drop case, where that mini township I mentioned was there. Okay. And I was aghast. 1,000 in a place where nobody has lived for 10 years. Gone. So likewise, the Bankura being so backward, communications were difficult, despite all claims that everybody is equal, this and that. But you go to a very remote village. See, it used to be like this. I would spot a village in the map. I won't go by the leash given by my liaison officer. You go there. Mohan, jana to bahut mushkil hai, sir. This is the kind of comment. I will translate. It is very difficult to go there, sir. No, we'll go. You have a jeep? Yes. Will it run? Yes. Like that. So we would go. See, there, the population, the whole village population would have been about 600 to 700, let us say 1,000. And the voters, number of voters, more than 2,000 to 3,000. This is one village in Bangla. Anyway, there also he said this cannot be done. Therefore, the revision has to be taken up fully. Now I come back to Assam. In Assam, during my third or fourth visit, I was waiting at the airport. Then I won't name any party, no name, nothing I was on. The then chief minister was sitting there. I did not introduce myself, so why should I? I not bothered. Anyway, somebody went and told him like this, So he himself came walking up and said, oh, you are this and that, everything. What have you found? I said, nothing is great here. That was my comment. Not that I bothered about him. Saab, in broken Hindi, he told me, see, these are all things which you will have to close your eyes and ears to. Things will happen only like this. Can you believe it? This is a statement the chief minister told me. I said, thank you for this comment, sir. I'll faithfully communicate this to the election commissioner, chief election commissioner, Mr. Tnpsc. The man literally jumped up. No, please don't do it, please. Okay, thank you. See, why I'm telling this is, as he mentioned, this special intensive revision should have been done. See, way back in the 50s and 60s and even up to, I think up to 80s, intensive revisions were being done regularly. They just stopped. Nobody would do it. Okay, addition, deletion, if somebody, some honest fellow says, so parents are dead, therefore they may be deleted, it is done. Otherwise, the names would remain forever. And whatever purpose they want to use, they will use. Okay. Now, after this was over, I went for the last round. So the liaison officer who was to take care of me, to take me around this and that, said, with folded hands, I request you, you are most welcome to be here in Assam any number of times as a guest, but not as an election observer. Don't come, please. This was the comment. So you can imagine what kind of a pollution the then bureaucracy, maybe at the behest of the politicians, this was done, and the electoral also. So it had quite early. So the government knew about it, ECI also came to know about it, and that is the reason why this special intensive revision was taken up. Okay, so now I can go on further and further about Tripura also, but at the same time, I had already mentioned about the minister trying to tell me that I should do like this, but anyway, I'll leave it here for the time being. Sir, can we have some question answers also? Maybe they are more interested. It's only an experience which I have narrated. There are many more okay, which can come up, depending upon your interest, I think we can share. Yeah.
Now, sir, brief information about how the S.I.R has been practically done in the constituency and sharing us the internal knowledge about the S.I.R revision and extensive revision. And now I request the participants to ask the questions.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Damodar, yeah.
When this topic was coming up, starting to colleagues in academia and also youngsters, some issues which they have taken from the net, they could not understand. So they told me. So out of that, I have listed only 4 or 5 issues, which on behalf of all those people asked at different points of time, I'm just raising, and you could explain this to the youngsters. First of all, the question how it started was, Supreme Court is a constitutional body. Election Commission, CEC, all of them are constitutional. How can one call the other to this? And this, I was trying to explain to the extent that everybody is supposed to do their duty, but then when a point is raised that there is some there is a procedural problem or something, then it can be raised in Supreme Court. But the specific question was the jurisdiction and authority, whether ECI has the jurisdiction to conduct this kind of a special intensive revision. You also explained special revision took place, intensive revision took place. Now, combination whether it has was the question. And then there was also constitutional validity of that. This the answer. This you could explain. Intensive.
Constitutional.
Validity, process, and jurisdiction and authority. This is how the question.
There are 2 different constitutional authorities, but Supreme Court is the final arbiter of appeals. In respect of any provision of the Constitution, a citizen's redressal of grievance, the last post is the Supreme Court. Therefore, even if there is another constitutional authority and is doing a job which is interested to it, if a citizen feels aggrieved, then the only place where he can go and appeal is the Supreme Court. Therefore, there's no conflict there. And in this, I will also add 2 bit of my wisdom. Very frequently a question is asked, is being mentioned, saying that why is it election commissioners is elected by the government? Why no Supreme Court judges added to it? In one of the judgments, a decision was given by the Supreme Court saying that this will be the composition, which one will be the. But Supreme Court, that decision also said, until you make the law, this. So the government quickly made a law, not including the any judge of the Supreme Court. There is a reason and justification for not including a judge of the Supreme Court in this election. I am not saying that the Selection Commission consisting of the Prime Minister and another minister and one leader of opposition is a perfect one. No, I'm not saying that. But I am only on the issue whether a Supreme Court judge should or should not be. I think it should not be included because supposing you have a grouse or you have a point against a particular selection, you go to the court. That is the final arbiter. So conflict of interest. In fact, it happened. Supreme Court judge is a member of the selection for the CBI director. 2 years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, there's a famous case in which Supreme Court said, "Are you a caged parrot?" Unfortunately, the government lawyer could not say, "Your exalted honor, you were also part of the selection committee." Look at the conflict of interest. If any selection goes bad, and you go in appeal to Supreme Court, you have to say that you are also part of this election. Why did you make a mistake? So it is better that in order to avoid the conflict of interest, the Supreme Court representation of the judge into the selection of the election commissioners is not a very happy situation. So one is, yes, Supreme Court is the final arbiter. Therefore, there's no problem in the Supreme Court, one constitutional authority having to answer to another constitutional authority, as long as it's Supreme Court. The second one was? See, this is the matter which the Supreme Court will decide. The law has a provision for special revision, intensive revision. Whether it can be, and it talks about in one state or one constituency. Can this be done everywhere? Now, I'm going beyond that to say that as long as it is not in conflict with any provision, existing provision of the law, nothing prevents the Election Commission. Election Commission is overarching powers under Article 324. The 324 lists, the rules, the Act of 1950 lists two different types of revisions. Can a third be done? As long as it is a revision, to my mind, it can be done. But final word will come from the Supreme Court. That one point has not been decided by the Supreme Court yet. It's kept pending. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Recently, a guy who cleans cars in a locality approached me and he said, "मेरे बच्चे को school में admission चाहिए." So I know that he's of Nepali origin. So I asked him, "आपके पास आधार कार्ड है?" So he said, "हाँ जी, मेरे पास आधार कार्ड है." मैंने कैसा मिला तुमको आधार कार्ड? वो तो लेके दिया. So is he a citizen? He's got an Aadhaar card. Now, if he has an Aadhaar card, he'll go and vote in our country. So when you say Aadhaar card is not the basis of citizenship, but Aadhaar card can be included, isn't the whole thing very confusing?
No.
Only a citizen should vote.
What the election or the Supreme Court has done is, it has recognized the usefulness of Aadhaar in removing duplicates. Okay. Therefore, to that limited extent of identifying a person, supposing you go and say that I am Gopal Swami, show your Aadhaar card, okay, and you give a number, I check it up, it says this is Gopal Swami. Because it is backed up by an iris and a fingerprint. Okay. Supposing I go and say I am Ram Sharan. My name is Ram Sharan and this is my Aadhaar card. You check it up in the
Right.
it will say that this Aadhaar card doesn't belong to Ram Sharan. That's the only limited point at which, therefore, in order to enable duplicates being removed, I'll tell you while we are on this, let me talk about this duplicates thing prior to Aadhaar. In 2004, we had a very, very studious and very fine chief electoral officer. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago, by name Naresh Gupta here. And he did on his own an effort to removal of duplicates. So those days, you had a computer, but you didn't have an Aadhaar card, you didn't have a backup information, which is 100% reliable. What he did was take the name Gopal Swami. So he said, how many Gopal Swamis in the whole state? Hundreds of thousands will come. Gopal Swami with so-and-so as his father. It got done. When he did all this, he landed up with 4 lakh duplicates. It's impossible to check in those days because the procedure would have to be that I take a Gopal Swami whose father is Patsarthi and whose age is more or less matching. I take his, details, send it to the Tahsildar. Let's say another name of the similar thing comes up in Coimbatore. Send it to the Tahsildar in Coimbatore and ask him to go home to that fellow and see whether this matches. Their identity card matches or does not. You can do it for 1 case. You can do it for 10 cases. 4 lakh cases, impossible. So he had to abandon that. Okay. This is where Aadhaar is used. At the touch of a button, you can find out whether the same Aadhaar is appearing in any other place. And in fact, now it has much become easier. In all the border areas between 2 states, any border area, irrespective of the state. For instance, in Tamil Nadu, the districts of Theni, etc., adjoining Munnar in Kerala, duplicates will be there. There are people registered there, people registered here. Same case in most of the places. This will happen. Sometimes it is deliberate, as happened in Kerala. What is the northernmost? Manjal, Kasaragod, Manjalpur, no, some starting in. So what happened was that even without the Aadhaar, the then CEO of Kerala, Mrs. Nalini Netto, she applied her own logic. In fact, we took a lesson from there and then did something different. I mean, same logic, same idea. She said, entire Kerala, the increase in the number of voters was, let's say, 2%. Each district will be different. So she went to, she looked at each district increase, giving a margin of 1%. Anything above 3%, she listed those. Then gave another margin of 1%. Any taluka, tehsil, which is more than 4% or 5%. Within that, anything which is more than 6%. So she landed in this kind of deductive logic. She landed in 2 constituencies. One in Palghat district, the other in Kasaragod district. Kasaragod is the next district. Now, she raised the issue with the commission saying that, look, I am suspicious that something hanky-panky is taking place. So we appointed 2 special officers, one for constituency here in Kerala, one there on that Kerala Karnataka border, and one here in Tamil Nadu. Sure. And by some great coincidence, in that Kerala Karnataka, this thing, 5,000 additional people were enrolled. They were actually from Karnataka. The minister got them enrolled here also. Okay. He lost the election by 5,000 votes. It may be just a coincidence, but he lost the election by 5,000 votes. So this is, now it has become much easier to find the duplicates using Aadhaar. That's the only use it should be actually put to. Otherwise, as you rightly say, in fact, the non-citizens are the first to take the Aadhaar and all the other cards.
He said, Haji mere paas hai. So I think we need a citizen ID card.
You know, but somehow, as I told you, the law was passed in 2003. The rules were ready by 2004. A test was done in 2008. After that, that citizenship part has been abandoned. The Aadhaar card, in fact, it was a pilot project which should have resulted in the Aadhaar being brought in. Though it started as a citizen identity card exercise, it ended up dropping that citizenship, saying that identity. So the Aadhaar card was given as an identity to everybody. I would not be surprised at all that it was a clear political decision, not something taken, without thinking about it. That this will mean that many people would have to be identified as, I mean, statistics is one thing, saying that 150 million, 200 million people are there. But when you start identifying, you will have political repercussions. Unfortunately, in this country, nobody talks about, I mean, politics will means only votes and continued presence on the kursi, on the powerful chair.
Unless the citizen
As they say in the saying, baad mein jaye, baki sab. Forget about everything else, I mean, including security, forget about it. But
Hello. The another thing which we discussed with our people, the burden of proof and the disenfranchisement which is happening. The ECA is accused of shifting the burden of proof of citizenship onto the citizens. So what happened? We were debating with the youngsters in our academy. They said, whenever there is a person who is born in a family, it is a family which applies for birth certificate. Somebody dies, the children apply for the death certificate, voice certificate and all. So nowhere the government also motto comes and goes around house by house and gives a birth certificate and death certificate. Why in the voter ID case also? Why the government should do it? It's the citizens who should prove. This is the argument which we were talking. But we would like to hear your views.
see, the voter identity card had a different origin altogether. During Mr. Sessions' time, he found a lot of hanky-panky which takes place. Therefore, he insisted that each person can be identified only through an identity card. Unfortunately, at that particular point of time, there was no national citizenship identity card. In most of the countries, there is one. Any country, many of the countries have an identity card which is essential for you, for any services. We didn't have one. So he insisted upon an identity card so that bogus voting can be stopped. All the states were up in arms. Most of the states which were indulging in this kind of, Bihar, UP, etc., they all said, we don't want an identity card at all. And Session being Session, he said, no identity card, no election. So what happened was then Supreme Court had to intervene and then make peace. Supreme Court said, all the states said, we don't have money. Supreme Court said, all right, now let the central government give money to the state government, but they agreed saying that identity card is essential. So that is how it came. Okay. So the origin came from there, rather than it should have been from the Home Ministry, saying that for all the citizens, we should give an identity card. Now, why the governments of all states are fighting shy of an identity card, I don't know. And you can guess. Your guess is as good as mine. It has not been implemented, despite the fact that the Act has been passed in 2003, the rules have been ready, a pilot project was done in 2008. Despite that, identity card is not there. Coming to the other point about Citizenship Act is very clear. You have to prove your citizenship. Government does not help. Now, coming to this thing, hereafter, I think, we are talking about 70% literacy or 77%. We started with 15% literacy in 1951 in the elections, out of which the female literacy is only 7%. Today, we are talking about 77% literacy or 70% or more than 70%. Time that we now start shifting the burden onto the citizen, saying that you register yourself to the vote. This is the position in all the other countries. But in Australia, USA, etc., they give a date saying that, the office is open, you go and register yourself. In Australia, you are told also saying that if you don't register, you will have consequences. In USA, they don't say that. They say that you have to register yourself, and they indicate the documents which are accepted. Okay. It is the parties who then take the lead to go and get the fellows registered, saying that he is sympathetic to my party and I must get him registered. So, push the person into the list. That's what the political parties take the responsibility, or at least, they take the lead. So it is for the individual. Now, slowly we need to start doing that. The moment I say that, immediately we'll talk about uneducated, poor, others, all the appendages will come. Then if you ask them saying that uneducated, but 70% literacy you are claiming. And another 2 years or 5 or 10 years later, you will say 80% or 85%, 90%. See, for any issue, any solution, there are people who will find 10 problems. Instead of implementing the solution and finding out solution for any problem which arises, the first thing they will do is to tell 10 problems. You can start with educated people or areas where people have access to computers, etc. Start with that. Over a period of 10 to 15 years, by the time 15 years later, maybe your literacy will reach 100%, at least on paper. So you should be able to get that through, and then get the responsibility slowly transferred into the hands of the. Otherwise, you expect the commission with this. Commission doesn't have much of the staff. Much of the staff comes from the state government only. The state government staff is doing 100 odd works. This is one of the extra works for it. And then on top of it, anything given free has no value at all in this country. That's the reason why you say that if you are not a voter, you will not get all these facilities. Everybody will go and register. Today, somebody comes and begs at your door, saying that please fill in this form and give it to us. Then you can talk high and mighty to her or to him, saying that, don't come now. Can I come tomorrow? I don't know. That kind of a thing. Believe me, in many places, they will not even offer a cup of water. We all pride ourselves on our cultural background and all that stuff. Some states are, I must say, the one thing, it doesn't happen in Tamil Nadu for a different reason. In Gujarat, when you enter anybody's house, the first thing they will do is to bring water. In Tamil Nadu, if you do it, they will say, "Acha, coffee kuduka, adukku badala ivan thanni udutha nammal anupalaanu paakrama." But see, that's a very correct thing. In a hot country, when somebody comes from outside, he might require water. Therefore, it's a courtesy which is part of their culture that immediately they will bring water. So the point is that anything given free has no value. And slowly you must start shifting the responsibility to the voters, saying that register yourself. But there must be a punishment part. If you don't register the voter, then all these advantages are not given. Okay, and we will leave it to the politicians when they will change their mind. I don't know.
This question is on implementation. There is a lot of talk about workforce distress. So, as Sir said that the ECA may have limited employees, less than 1,000. Whereas Tamil Nadu, they said 75,000 state government employees have been enrolled. So now the government, state government can sort of eliminate during that portion of 2 months or whatever the regular work, and also to do only elections, and there won't be any distress.
Be possible, but you can definitely increase the number. But I think a very subtle change came in Tamil Nadu, which I appreciate. Initially, all these BLOs went house to house and handed over, and many of them were really treated. Not all of them, but many of them were treated. Therefore, the message went up saying that, look, So after that, the Tamil Nadu election office announced saying that we will have camp. You come and register yourself, or come and give the form there. Okay. So they said we will sit on Saturday, Sunday, or in the polling station, or on these days in the polling station, your polling station. You come and hand over. That much of responsibility you must take. So I think there is a subtle change, which I appreciate very much, so that the staff was not put to too much of a distress. They also said more staff can be given. Okay, I mean, that's another point which, the Supreme Court possibly said, why don't they give more staff? Why?
See, having handled several elections, put it that way, the staff are being used during election process, it's a limited period. Okay. Now, for argument's sake, if I say that yes, we will increase the number of the personnel involved in these things, let's say 75,000, we make it to 1,50,000. Now, the tendency of Tamil Nadu, I have seen right from my, let us say, 80s, okay, put it that way. So for this particular period, these people will be engaged as nominal muster roll people or relieving them out of the regular purpose, get the regular staff for the electoral officers. Then the government work will have to take place. Therefore, there you will have to engage nominal muster roll people. No, either way, it's a no-win situation. Even school teachers are being engaged. The reason being, Mr. Gopal Swami can correct me if I am wrong. Mostly what would happen is the electoral revision process would take place during the vacation time. Mostly those years. Then subsequently, because the elections became more frequent than whatever, it spread to even normal working days, and therefore, for teachers, even the block development, block level officers will be sent like that. So it will be totally imprudent on the part of the government to either divest these people of the regular government work during this time, or employ people who are not regular employees of the government. The most important reason for the government, the people who are employed only for this purpose, they have no loyalty to anything. Okay, at least the government servant has some loyalty towards the government for which he works and then gets the money. Okay, now somebody says, argument say, include panna. Okay, 10 or 12 or whatever, yes, included. Plus, the biggest danger is all these people will tomorrow ask for permanent employment. This has been happening, not only on selection, but on anything you engage. I just got into a big mess. They engage people for cleaning up the city. Okay, as simple as that. On a particular area, we engage people, sanitary workers, and then clean up the city, and then do it. Something called mass cleaning campaigns and that. So we engage something like 1,000 people to clear up the whole city at one particular point of time. And what happened? Immediately, the political, I won't say that, I won't name the political parties, they said, make them permanent. You know, where will the government go if for salary, if everybody is to be appointed regularly? That is one of the reasons why it cannot be.
One, I'll just add to what he said. When you take temporary impact, temporary in the sense that, you know, on contract basis, etc., you have no disciplinary control over it. If he makes intentionally, otherwise a mess of it, you have no remedy for that. I mean, you will have to then spend more money to correct it. I'll take one example. You all remember that there were the Brazilian model's photograph was there in a large number of cases. But did you notice that the respective elector had his or her photograph only on the card? This is a clear mischief by the person who uploads. He might not have been paid. I mean, we are aware of this long ago. 2008 in Madhya Pradesh, suddenly a big furor started saying that in the electoral law there are dogs instead of. While the elector had the correct thing, there was no dog in his car. His photograph was there. The person who uploaded mischievously did it because he was not paid. So while uploading the figure information, he uploaded a dog's photograph there. I mean, same thing happened here. A large number of, he didn't possibly overwork or whatever. While the card was correct and the person went and voted, there was no problem. The electoral roll contained the Brazilian model who was very scandalized, saying that if at all I should be in a photograph, it should be in a better place rather than the electoral roll of India.
This is a final point. See, with this few model, that is the ECI having very limited people as their employees, permanent employees, and most of the people who are employed in this process are from the states. Why there is a complaint of bias or political motivation in the ECI to in favor or against? Because they cannot do anything except giving instructions and circulars to the state government employees. They cannot do much.
Generally, it's a political game that is being played. Everybody knows the truth, saying that whosoever does it is their own state. I mean, again, I will recall a very interesting incident. You know, after the leader of opposition came with this Madhevpura case, 100 names or 500 names in one place and all that stuff. Do you remember that the minister of the Karnataka government said, saying that it was our government, why are you blaming anybody else? He got dismissed, right? And now you know who, I mean, they all know. They all know who's to blame or who's, but instead of blaming themselves or blaming the, if you start blaming too much the state government staff, then you have to, every day in and day out, you have to deal with them. So you throw stones at the ECI. Okay.
We have some questions from online participants. After this, people here, sitting here can ask. I will combine two questions together. It's similar question. One, Sakalya is asking, is there any desired year for conducting S.I.R? And Keith is asking, it was conducted in 2004. Then now, what? So next process in 2025 is there any particular year's gap for conducting this S.I.R?
See, 2002 to 2004, it was done last. 20 years later, it's being done now. So my the thing is that before every parliament and assembly election, it should be done. Otherwise, I mean, the accumulated problems of 20 years is such that it's proven to be a big headache. It's not worthwhile. Then taking into consideration the fact that there is, we are an advancing society industrially, I mean, the economy is doing well, or it will in the, so lot more of urbanization. Today, many states in the country are urbanizing faster. Other states will also catch up. So more urbanization will take place. It means intercity and intercity migrations will be there. So all this cannot be captured unless you have a periodic, S.I.R. and slowly shift the responsibility to the voter, elector, to the citizen, so that there is more awareness that you got to register yourself. And I mean, you can't keep on blaming everything on the government.
So that answers the next question by Kuvar Krishnamurthy, whether S.I.R is necessary for upcoming years. That we have answered no. So there are two other questions which I can combine. What happens if S.I.R is done when a family is out of station? And what happens if an eligible voter does not submit the S.I.R form?
Second question is easier. Eligible voter does not submit the form, he goes out of the list. Okay. And the first one, if the family is away, they have this 1 month period. They have this 1 month period for applying from, I mean, as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, from up to 19th of February or 18th of February, they have provided time, at that time. Supposing you are not there at all, and you come afterwards, theoretically speaking, the provision of law is that you can apply until the last date for nomination. But whether it will be processed and your name will be added is a question mark. If a large number of come, it may not be possible at all. Theoretically, otherwise it's possible until the last name of date of nomination, which, I mean, given the fact that the term of the Tamil Nadu Assembly ends on 10th of May or so, election will be held, say 1 month before. So one can say you may get a chance to apply up to about 15th or 20th of, which may be the last date, or, I mean, could be. So you still have a time after 19th, 18th of February, maybe another 2-3 weeks you will get.
And one more question. How can the election commission or the government can improve the cooperation of people for the SIR activities?
See, I'm sorry to say this, only Dandabaji can work. So if you just say that, we will do everything for you, then do. Come to my house, not 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. You have to come and do it. You have to add to this some kind of a disincentive for not. And I know I'm going out of the syllabus, so to say, but I will recapture what a good policy will. I'll just take one thing. We are all people with a lot of experience. We want to bore you. So I went to UK in 1981 for a course. Within a month of my landing in UK, I was having a training in London itself. The Greater London Authority, Municipal Corporation, like Municipal Corporation here, it is in charge of all activities within London, including the underground trains as well as the buses, etc., etc. They found the central London getting congested very badly because of many cars coming and parking, and so they made a policy. The policy was that the parking fees will be now increased. So central London, the parking fee went up 3 times. And one circle beyond that, it went up 2 times. And outside that, it was just the same. This was combined. The other part of the policy was that the bus and the train fares were halved. Believe me, in the institution in which I was a student, all the teachers calculated immediately, saying that what happens when they bring their cars and then park it in front of the thing. We were in central London area. And what happens if they come by the queue? They all decided from 1st of December, when the policy was coming, we will not bring our cars. So that is policy. Policy should be such as to have some element of coercion. You can't just make a policy and expect everybody to follow. So there must be some incentive and some disincentive.
Anybody here wants to ask?
Maybe in 2 or 3 years, I have a fear of voting for elections. And maybe correct or not. But people are very fear to vote for election because of what the kind of thoughts they have. They are afraid of voting and they are afraid of election. By the political parties, what the election commission has to do to ensure the trust of the people.
Who is threatening them?
See, okay, Tamil solunga, okay.
Sir, recent 2-3 years, videos are coming out. The voters, the election commission officer, some of the election commission officer was voting by his own hand for 10 votes in the social media. They see in the social media. Yes. அவரே ஓட்டு பண்ணிட்டு மாதிரி ஒரு வீடியோ இந்த சோசியல் மீடியால வந்து அப்லோட் ஆயிருந்துச்சு, நான் பார்த்துருக்கேன். போக பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டிஸ் ரீசெண்டா ரொம்ப இது ப்ரோட்டஸ்ட் பண்ணி எஸ்ஆர் வந்து ஒரு பேட் இன்ஃப்ளூயன்ஸ் பண்ணுது அப்படின்னு இது பண்றாங்க. ஸோ அதனால இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் பண்றதுக்கு எலெக்ஷன் கமிஷன் பண்ணணுமா இல்ல எப்படி?
இல்ல சிம்பிளா பதில் சொல்லணும். நான் இதுக்கு உட்காருங்க. எவ்ரிபடி அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட்ஸ் தமிழ்? ஓகே, ஃபைன், வண்டர்ஃபுல். இல்லை சிம்பிளாக அவரோட கேள்வி, ஒன்றா ஓட்டு போடுவது உங்களுடைய கடமை அப்படின்னு நினைக்கணும் இல்லையா? கடமையை செய்யறதுக்கு கவர்மெண்ட்லேருந்து உங்களுக்கு ப்ரொடெக்ஷன் கொடுக்கணும்னு நீங்கள் எதிர்பார்க்க தேவையில்லை. அது ஓகே, அது வந்து இந்த கேவியட்னு சொல்லுவாங்களே அது மாதிரி. உங்களுடைய கடமையை நீங்கள் செய்யும் பொழுது கவர்மெண்ட்டோ எலெக்ஷன் கமிஷனோ யாரும் உங்களுக்கு பாதுகாப்பு கொடுக்க தேவையில்லை. 2வது, சோஷியல் மீடியாவில் வரக்கூடிய 99% அது நிஜமா அப்படிங்கிறது பெரிய கேள்விக்குறி. சாதாரண ரொம்ப பெரிய கேள்விக்குறி. இந்த 1% நான் கொடுக்குறது ஏதாவது ஒரு ரைட் இருக்கும். சரி, ரெண்டாவது, இப்போ நீங்க ஒரு பூத்துல ஓட்டு போடுறீங்க, இவங்கெல்லாம் ஒரு ஓட்டு, ஒரு பூத்துலையும் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு ப்ரொடெக்ஷன், அவருக்கு ஒரு ப்ரொடெக்ஷன், இவருக்கு ஒரு ப்ரொடெக்ஷன் அப்படி கொடுக்க முடியுமா? சார், இதுல பிராக்டிக்கலா சாத்தியம் இல்லை. ஒன்று, இப்போ நீங்களா ஒரு ஏரியாவில் இருக்கிறீங்க, ஏதோ ஒரு ஏரியா வச்சு ஒரு தெரு, அதில் ஒரு 10 பேர் இருக்கிறீங்கன்னு வச்சுங்க, நீங்க 10 பேருப்பா சேர்ந்து அந்த ஓட்டிங் பூத்து இன்னைக்கு போனீங்கன்னாக்கா யாரும் உங்களை அட்டாக் பண்ண முடியும்? ஒருத்தரும் தடுக்க முடியாது. புரியுதா? அதனால இது வந்து நீங்களா டிசைட் பண்ணிக்கணும். இதுக்கு எல்லாத்துக்கும் கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்டெப் இன் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க, அது நடக்கிற நடைமுறை சாத்தியம் அல்ல. இப்போ நான் கேட்குறேன், நம்ம வீட்டில் குப்பை இருக்குது, சிம்பிள், இது நிறைய இடத்துல பேசுறது, இதை கொண்டு போய் என்ன பண்ணுறோம்? வெளியே தான் போடுறோம். வீட்டுக்குள்ள வந்து நீ எடுத்துட்டு போன அவன் சொல்ல முடியுமா? இது நம்முடைய கடமை. ஓட்டு போடுவது என்பது நம்முடைய கடமை. அதுதான் அவர் திருப்பி சொல்றாரு. இதை வந்து நம்ம போய் ஓட்டு போடு சொல்லி எலெக்ஷன் கமிஷனோ அல்ல ஆஃபீஸர் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்க கூடாது, சொல்லிட்டு இருக்க முடியாது. இம்பாசிபிள். திஸ் இஸ் யுவர் டியூட்டி. இந்த கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்லாம் பேச முடியாது. அந்த கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்லேயே வாட் இஸ் தி டியூட்டி ஆஃப் சிட்டிசன் கூட இருக்கு. இட் இஸ் ஃபார் யூ. ஓகே, ஓட்டிங் இஸ் யுவர் ரைட். அதுக்கு நீங்க போகும்போது எப்படி அரசியல்வாதிங்க அவங்களுடைய நன்மைக்கோ தீமைக்கோ வாட் எவர் ஏதாவது செய்யத்தான் செய்வாங்க. அது நீங்க இந்த மாதிரி உங்களுடைய லெவல்லையே நீங்க ப்ராக்டிக்கலா நடைமுறைப்படுத்திக்கணும். 10 பேரை கூட சேர்ந்து போங்க, யாரும் உங்களை என்ன செய்ய முடியும்? புரியுதா? ஓகே,
உங்க ஓட்டை வந்து யாருக்கு நீங்க போட்டீங்கிறது யாருக்கும் அங்கே தெரிய வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. ஆனா ஒரு போலிங் ஸ்டேஷன் வந்து யாருக்கு ஓட்டு போடும் டோட்டலா அது சொல்ல முடியும். இந்த போலிங் ஸ்டேஷன்ல மொத்தம் 1000 ஓட்டு, அதுல 500 ஓட்டு இவர் கிடைச்சது, 200 ஓட்டு அவர் கிடைச்சது, அது சொல்ல முடியும். அதுவும் செய்யக்கூடாதுங்கிறது எலெக்ஷன் கமிஷன் ப்ரப்போசல் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்காங்க. பட் பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டிஸ் அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிக்க மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. அதாவது தனித்தனியா ஒரு போலிங் ஸ்டேஷன் ரிசல்ட் எடுத்தோம்னா, ஸோ இந்த போலிங் ஸ்டேஷன் ஏரியா இந்த இவருக்கு போட்டாங்க அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஐடியா தெரியும். எல்லா போலிங் ஸ்டேஷனையும் கம்பைன் பண்ணி 10 போலிங் ஸ்டேஷனை கம்பைன் பண்ணி ஒரு ரிசல்ட் எடுத்தோம்னா அது தெரியாது. ஸ்டேஷன் டயத்தில் வந்து பேலட் பேப்பர் இருந்தது. அப்போ ஒரு மெத்தடாலஜி அவர் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணார். பேலட் பேப்பர் வெலிடிட்டி அப்படின்னு ஒரு பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு. அதாவது உண்மையான பேலட் பேப்பரா இல்லை ஃபேக் பேலட் பேப்பராங்கிறதுக்கா அது ஒரு நம்பர்லாம் இருக்கும். அதை மாத்திரம் பார்த்துட்டு, அதை ஃபுல்லாக பிரிக்காம அதை மாத்திரம் பார்த்துட்டு, வேலிட்னா அதெல்லாம் ஒரு பாக்ஸில் போட்டு ஒரு டின்ல போட்டு அதை கலக்கி அதுலேருந்து எடுத்து கொடுப்பாங்க. ஸோ மிக்ஸ் ஆகிடும் அதில். ஸோ ஒரு 1000 ஓட்டு எடுத்தீங்கன்னா 20 கட்டு, 50 20 கட்டு. ஒரு கட்டு 101வது போலிங் ஸ்டேஷனாக இருக்கும், ஒன்று 125வது இருக்கும், ஒன்று 1வது நம்பர் போலிங் ஸ்டேஷன், அது மிஸ் ஆகிடும். அதனால 1வது நம்பர் போலிங் ஸ்டேஷன் யாரு போட்டாங்க மெஜாரிட்டி அப்படிலாம் தெரியாமல் போகும். இது எலக்ட்ரானிக் ஓட்டிங் மிஷினில் அந்த மாதிரி பண்ண முடியலை. ஆரம்பத்தில் அதுக்கு ஒரு ப்ரொவிஷன் இல்லை. அதனால இப்போ எலக்ட்ரானிக் ஓட்டிங் மிஷின் வந்து அந்தந்த போலிங் ஸ்டேஷனுக்கு தனியாக கவுண்ட் ஆகுது. 2007 எலெக்ஷன் கமிஷன் மேட் அ ப்ரொபோசல் சேயிங் தட் நாங்கள் ஒரு மிஷின் தயார் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம். 14 போலிங் ஸ்டேஷன், அதில் இனிஷியலாக ஒவ்வொரு போலிங் ஸ்டேஷன்லையும் எத்தனை ஓட்டு போட்டுங்கிறது அக்கௌண்ட் இருக்குது, அதோட வெரிஃபை பண்ணி பார்த்துட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் ஒவ்வொருத்தருக்கு யாருக்கு எத்தனை ஓட்டுக்களை விழுந்திருக்கு அப்படிங்கிறத பார்க்கறதுக்கு கம்பைண்டா 14க்கும் சேர்த்து ரிசல்ட் வரும். அந்த மாதிரி மெஷின் பண்ணிருக்கலாம். இண்டிவிஜுவலி எவ்ரி பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டி கேம் அண்ட் saw it and appreciated it. Collectively said no. ஏன்னா அவங்கெல்லாம் கால்குலேட் பண்ணாங்க, ஐயோ இப்போ தனித்தனியாக தெரியலன்னா எந்த கடங்காரன் எனக்கு ஓட்டு போட்டான், எந்த கடங்காரன் எனக்கு ஓட்டு போடலன்னு எப்படி தெரியுது? அது வேற பணம் வேற கொடுத்தான்னா அவன் என்ன ஏமாத்தினா என்ன பண்ணுறது? பணத்தை வாங்கிட்டு போடலன்னா எப்படி எனக்கு எப்படி தெரியும்? அதனால when the matter went before the consultative committee, all of them said no. அதனால நான் ரிஃபார்ம்ஸ்ன்னு சொல்றச்சே எலக்ட்ரல் ரிஃபார்ம்ஸ் பேச விட்டுட்டேன். ஏன்னா அந்த பார்லிமெண்ட்ல ஒருத்தரும் பண்ணது ரெடியா இல்லை.
சார், இப்போ சில பேர் வந்து நான் இந்த பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டிஸ் எனக்கு எதுவுமே பிடிக்கல, தென் ஒய் ஷுட் ஐ ஓட் அப்படின்னு கேட்குறாங்க. இப்போ வந்து நம்ம சொல்கிறோம் திஸ் இஸ் அ ஃபண்டமெண்டல் டியூட்டி அப்படின்ட்டு. ஸோ ஹவு டு மேக் எவ்ரி ஒன் இன்க்ளூட் இன் திஸ் ஓட்டிங் ப்ராசஸ்?
உங்களை எல்லாத்தையும் சொல்லுங்க, நீ பிடிக்கலன்னா போய் நோட்டா அடிச்சுட்டு வாங்க.
நோட்டா போட்டாலுமே யார் அடுத்த எக்ஸ்ட்ரா
அது
இது
கிடையாது. அதுவும் இல்ல, நோட்டா போட்டீங்கன்னா நோட்டானால வின் பண்றது லூஸ் பண்றது டிட்டர்மின் பண்ண முடியாது. பட் ஏதாவது ஒரு நாளைக்கு நோட்டா ஸ்கோர் மோர் votes than many of the winning candidates, somebody will start asking a question. உடனே நடக்காது. somebody will start asking a question saying that அவனுக்கே ஒரு மாதிரியா இருக்கும், நோட்டா தான் வின் பண்ணிட்டு நான் வின் பண்ணலன்னு, இல்லையா? இப்போ 100 ஓட்டு விழுது, அதுல 90 ஓட்டு நோட்டாக போறது. நான் 10 ஓட்டுல ஜெயிச்சேன்னா 100ல 10 வாங்கி ஜெயிச்சேன்னு சொல்றான். அவன் 10 வாங்கினா ஜெயிப்பான், 1 வாங்கினா ஜெயிப்பான், 99 ஒன்று இருந்தாலும் 1 வாங்கினா ஜெயிப்பான். பட் யோசிச்சு பாருங்க, வெளில போய் என்ன சொல்லுவான், ஒரு ஓட்டுல ஜெயிச்சேன், ஒரு ஓட்ட ஒரே ஒரு ஓட்டு தான் எனக்கு விழுந்தது. ஸோ அது it takes time. It takes time, but if you are not satisfied with anybody, then go and vote for nota.
ரிஃபார்ம் வரும்னு சொல்றீங்களா சார்?
அது பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டிஸ் நீங்க ப்ரெஷரைஸ் பண்ணா அதை ரிஃபார்ம் வராது. அது கலெக்டிவ்ல எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து பண்ணா தான் வரும். ஒன்றும் இல்லை, பாருங்க, இப்போ ஒரு எலெக்ஷன் ரிலேட்டடாக சொல்லிடுறேன், then you can use it whenever the opportunity arises. இப்போ ஒரு புதுசா ஒரு லா கொண்டு ட்ரை பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அதாவது எனி மினிஸ்டர் who's been convicted, who's been in jail for, not convicted, in jail for 30 days, he will lose his system. இதை விட more important amendment is pending. That is, if a person is charge sheeted for a heinous crime. What is a heinous crime? Dacoity, robbery, rape, etc. Punishable with any offense punishable for 5 years and more. Charge sheet ஆன உடனே அவங்கள they should be prevented from becoming continuing as a member. Believe me, in 2008, the Standing Committee of the Parliament discussed this. One very good person, he came to me and said, "Sir, we want to do it, but we have one doubt. What happens if adula enna provision recommend pannidamna, if the charge sheet had been filed prior to 6 months, that is polling 1st of April nu vechikka, so 3 மாசம் 6 மாசம், that is September 30, 2024 க்கு முன்னாடி சார்ஜ் ஷீட் ஆச்சுன்னா அதை எடுத்துக்கலாம். In order to prevent any last minute manipulation by the party in power against somebody else by creating a case, false case, and getting a charge. So நான் சொன்னேன், இந்த சஸ்பென்ஷன் இருந்ததுன்னா 1 வருஷம் பண்ணலாம், 1 year before charge sheet. But what is a charge sheet? Charge sheet is when FIR is filed, investigated, goes before the magistrate. Magistrate considers the evidence available. Prima facie, there is a case. அப்புறம் charge sheet issue பண்ணாங்க. அதனால, so he said it's a good idea, I will convince them. He went to the parliament. Later on, he came to me and said, "Sir, a big lawyer who was part of our committee, he said, no, don't do it." So we are not doing it. So the politician is willing to do, the lawyer turned politician told them not to do it. Okay. Maybe they all thought that they will lose their jobs. Okay. And the politician, the lawyers, every part of the country pronounces various words differently. Tamilian English, Kerala English, and Punjabi English. LAWYER, they will call it liar.
Sir, I had a doubt. As we had so many previous reforms, there are certain rules and regulations for the Election Commission as well as the common people to vote, how to vote. But the thing is, even though we are conducting this S.I.R or all these things, is it practically true that it will be completely free and fair for this, the outcome of this S.I.R and all?
Is as long as a valid voter is not excluded, it's free and fair. valid voter is not excluded on specious ground. I mean, any not valid voter, a person whose genuine is not being excluded on specious grounds. It's a, in fact, we err on the other side. We actually believe that, okay, it doesn't matter. There is a bit of a doubt, but include him. It's better to include him rather than exclude. So that way, that is the way we have been proceeding so far. Therefore, I don't expect any great injustice to come.
Sir, the reason I'm asking this question is because I'll talk about the practical terms. The thing is, in today's times, the people who are educated and all, like the Gen Z, mostly everything, they don't want to vote. And the common people, the layman, those who don't have enough like knowledge about what is like voting and the money. So they are given freebies and they are supposed to vote. So the outcome also turns differently. The person who is not even eligible comes as an officer or something. So don't I had this doubt in the future. Shouldn't we have any like reform that all the citizens should be actually educated about the value of vote or something, like why we are voting? And
well, you see, it is there is a saying that you can wake up somebody who is sleeping. You can't wake up somebody who is pretending to sleep. Okay. So the educated fellows are pretending to sleep, you can't wake them up. The person who's poor, who's slightly less educated, he thinks that his future can improve. He has something to look forward. The educated fellow already has a good job. What can the government do for nothing? So why should I bother to go and vote? So it is the educated who don't vote. I mean, I'll tell you very, very sad this thing. In Bombay, after the 2008 attack, Bombay, there were candlelight vigils and all kinds of things which went on. 4 months later, Maharashtra election came, and those polling station areas polled, you know how much? 22%. So, for agitation, candlelight procession, you're all. So it is some kind of an outing, it seemed. And they didn't really felt very strongly about it. It's an outing. Go and shout slogans against the government or whatever it is. But when it came to exercising a franchise, you never cared. So this is the unfortunate thing about the educated person. So in fact, the educated should go out more to demonstrate, saying that we will also vote, even if we don't expect anything out of the government. Because we need for the country good politicians, that competent politicians.
Sir, adding to our question, the last minute freebies and reforms which a political party announces when the state is going to have an election, it's affecting the winning percentage of the particular parties. Maybe for example, the Bihar's last minute, the 10,000 rupees for each female has affected the winning of the particular party, and how that will the election commission has any reforms to do on that subject? Because though they mentions the particular amount should be spent on each election or each constituencies, but there are more than that being spent. Will giving money to the voters personally for 500 ரூபாய்க்கு ஒரு ஓட்டு or 2000 rupees ஒரு ஓட்டு, then after the elections they are saying நீ எனக்கு ஓட்டு போட்டா நான் உனக்கு 10,000 தரேன். Is that also a corruption that election commission?
Two different issues. One is the cash pay. That's the difference. The other is whether it's a lesser evil or greater evil, I don't know, because the money goes from the tax you pay. Is the government gives, it's not anybody else's money. It is the government's, it's your money and my money, which goes for something or other. Okay. I think, whatever policy you make, there's always some element of loophole which will be found out by the political parties. Now here in Bihar, the Election Commission said It is a continuing scheme. The scheme is already there in which payment is being made. You can legally say that it was correct, but morally incorrect. Legally may be right because it is a continuing scheme and therefore under the scheme money is being paid. So announcement came last minute, money is being paid, but it is legally there is nothing, no income. But morally it is not quite all right. But when it comes to paying money, cash money, which is Tamil Nadu started, and we are number one in that. It's spread elsewhere now. It's available at other places also. That is something which is very difficult to control because there is no proof. There is no proof coming. Everybody knows. Everybody knows money is being paid, but nobody can catch. And wherever they caught, 2 constituencies in which they caught, unfortunately, the law is such that they cancelled the election. Aravakurchi and one more place, 2 places they cancelled the election. 2. Third party later on. Assembly election, Aravakurchi and one in Karur and one in Tajau. 2 places. Commission is duty bound to conduct an election. No seat can be kept vacant. Commission duty bound to conduct an election within 6 months. They did. The same persons appeared. Same person became. Same thing happened in Katpadi. Okay. What is the answer? There is no answer. Unless if you are caught for bribery, I am giving an extreme statement. You should be kicked. There is no, I mean, what I mean to say is there is no fear of law. There is no fear of law. But then, they will ensure that, I don't pay money, but somebody else pays on my behalf. RK Nagar election, by-election, on record. See, the election commission normally appoints 1 general observer, 1 finance observer. And sometimes if there is a problem, 2 more financial observers. But in RK Nagar, there were 250 people entrusted with ensuring that money was not paid. Still money was not paid. Where was it paid? RK Nagar vella pay panna. So how can the election commission have a finance observer in the entire Chennai area? The money was paid somewhere else. So unless we ensure that corruption in the government is penalized.
Sir, one last question, sir. Sir, good afternoon, sir. Sir, good afternoon, sir. Sir, since 1970s, we have this Bangladesh problem, sir, actually. So you said that because of this Bangladesh issue, because today Muhammad Yunus and his concept of greater Bangladesh, it seriously affected our northeast states. So what was the measure or what was the attempt made by the Election Commission of India to stress the parliamentarians regarding a smooth and fair collection of elections that has to take place in northeast, sir? Northeast or?
This is not a problem. West Bengal is a problem because of infiltration. This
Okay, sir.
Northeast is not a problem. Northeast is a different problem altogether. If you want, I'll just tell you.
No.
Delimitation work in Manipur and Nagaland was not done. The reason is that there in Manipur there is one area which is Nagas are there. So what they suddenly found was the population, the census, they won't allow the census to be normally done. The head of the village will come and say, we are 1,000 people. That's all. You have to take it, write it down and go. Even if it is 100, he will say 1,000, you have to accept it and go. What we found, I was sitting there in the limited, what we found was that if we accepted their figure, then the valley will have less representation, and the hills where the Nagas were there will have almost double the representation. So their idea was that by having a larger representation in the assembly, they will overrule and then say that the hills in within Manipur state populated by Nagas should be separated and joined with Nagaland for a greater Naga. So we had no other go except to stop the delimitation totally. Because otherwise what would have happened is that Tripura assembly would have become totally, I mean, the numbers would have totally gone haywire. So what is the answer to it? So there is a different kind of problem. I only wish that when you all become serious voters and officers in the government, etc., you would bring some reforms on the politicians.
Many questions remain answered, or all questions are answered. Take a break. You are going for a speaker.
My offer is, if you have any doubt hereafter, you can send a mail. I can answer that by mail.
Not everybody should be clear in their mind. Please contact them.
So that is how whole thing is treated.
Thank you, sir, and thank you all the participants for your questions. Now I request Damodaran sir, Director of Chinmaya Academy for Civil Services, to present the mementos to Gopal Swami sir, Tripathy sir, and Mohan sir. Now I may call upon Desigran sir to propose the vote of thanks.
Okay, Hari Om. I'm very thankful to Gopal Swami sir for spontaneously accepting to be here for this session and here wonderfully conducting this session. And also Tripathy sir. Tripathy sir is always very simple. He's very down to earth person, and he always accepts whatever request we make. So he has been here, and they both shared their experience and their knowledge. So I hope it will be very useful. I'm very thankful to Tripathy sir also. And Mohan sir, always a guiding factor for us. And Damodaran sir, our director, for guiding this program throughout. And all the staff members who have been very supportive. And of course, our MC Megha, our student, and Jessica Prabhakar. So on all the faculty members, every staff members who have been very supportive, and all the participants for being here, and all the participants who are attending online. So thank you so much. We will meet, and we are very thankful. We pray our gratitude at the feet of our Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmaya. So we wish you all success, and we would like to conduct more programs like this. So next month there will be another guest lecture. We will meet you. Thank you.
Yes.
Om Purnamadha Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.